9 o'clock on April 27, 2017. We'll call the Policy and Procedure Committee meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Bill?
Present.
Bignot?
Here.
Sure?
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Oh, got another one.
Are there any public comments this morning? Seeing none, we'll go to committee chair reports. Russell?
Oh, what you got going? Well, let's see. Traditional claims naturally. Couple little things, nothing stands out. Signage at a issue with the township road that we're going to address. Probably the biggest thing is going to look at some potential highway safety money for some grant money for signage and a few things, or maybe we'll get some inventory, but nothing earth-shaking at this point.
Kyle, Finance?
The biggest one would be a resolution, a proper resolution to transfer that money from the capital improvement to the revolving loan, or however they need it done properly, but not earth-shattering there either.
I think that the paperwork from the ad hoc committee will be ready also that day. Okay, Lyle?
Yeah.
Management?
We're just doing farm reports basically, and gonna get some gas quotes.
Judicial?
Regular reports.
Okay, Marvin, tax?
We need to have further discussion on the better utilization of the animal control clerk. And we need to try to figure out how to get more publicity out for the rabies vaccination clinics. Seems like tax committee's going to the dogs.
What about zoning? Do you have anything on zoning?
Me?
Yes.
Oh. I wasn't prepared for that, but I think if I recall correctly, we're going to discuss rezoning of something for an office for elevator control.
Right.
And that's really all I know about.
Okay. Okay. We'll skip the chairman comments and go to the ESDA report. Everybody has a copy of that in front of them. I'll just read through it rather quickly so that everybody here also knows. It says P&P committee members, my apologies for not being present today. I'm currently at a 2-day training summit in Springfield hosted by the Illinois Emergency Services Mutual Aid Association. Please accept the following report for the past 2 months. Incidents, flood warnings in early April. Both Sugar Creek and Iroquois River entered minor flood stage and neared moderate flood stage. No issues. For your information, over the next few days, National Weather Service is predicting significant rain in the area. Sugar Creek, while relatively low at the moment, is currently under a flood advisory. Events, March 2, LEPC meeting, March 7th, Emergency Management Association team teleconference meeting, March 9, EMA volunteer quarterly get-together in the evening. March 14, hosted severe weather seminar in Crescent City, approximately 30 attendees. March 21, hosted debris management course in EOC. March 23, pipeline safety training and exercise in Kankakee. March 23, Iroquois County Amateur Radio Club meeting. March 25 to April 2, vacation. April 11, LEPC meeting and LEPC exercise planning meeting. April 25, disaster assistance process class in Urbana. Same date, the EMAT teleconference meeting, April 26th, Mavis meeting in Martinton. Projects, updating hazard materials response plan with new Tier 2 report information and implementing lessons learned from past exercises. All hazards core capability assessment. This is a new tool implemented by IEMA that gauges a jurisdiction's ability working to FEMA's core capabilities. LEPC tabletop exercise planning, working towards a pipeline incident. Iroquois County has 6 major pipelines that run through it. EMPG and HMEP quarterly grant claims and activity reports. Guild furniture donated from the 911 center and the EOC communication rooms on 21 and 22 April. Coordinate with American Red Cross to update shelter locations and plans. Upcoming. I don't know if that's right. Upcoming April 11th IEME Region 7 quarterly meeting in Tazewell County. Might be May 11th, I guess. I don't know. Public address and recording system update. I've been waiting for a total quote from a local AV technician. I spoke with him on the evening of the 25th and was assured that he would deliver a quote before the end of the week. As a reminder, what we've designed is a system that includes 1 wireless microphone for every 2 board members, 1 microphone at the front panel table, and most of the existing microphones in the room. The system will use a switch to record meetings while patching into the speaker system in the room. After the meeting is over, the recording will have to be transferred to the computer, combined with the video recording, and then uploaded. That's signed by Eric Stacy. Any questions on the report? Okay. Next is a discussion and action on proposed county ordinance clarifying powers and duties of ETSB. This is something that came about from the last ETSB meeting where the state's attorney advised that there was some information, no information available, I guess, as to exactly what the powers and duties of the ETSB were insofar as hiring personnel. The ordinance says temporary, and that's something that probably needs to be changed. The state's attorney was supposed to have an ordinance drafted and here for us today, but we don't have that. There is something that I think all of you received an email, I hope you did, from Mr. McGinnis about it. I've got a copy of it here someplace. Is everybody familiar with that email?
Yeah.
You got the email,
Yeah, I got a copy of it. I'm sharing it with...
It will be now.
Mr. McGinnis is proposing on the ordinance that the county chairman no longer have the authority to appoint people to the ETSB board, that it should be a situation where the county board chairman will nominate for appointment to the board with the advice and consent of the majority vote. That's the first thing. Then, second one, he is taking out the, on a temporary basis, from the part about hiring staff and so forth. Third thing that he is suggesting is after the last sentence in section 1 to add a sentence that would say, under no circumstances shall there be more than 1 currently serving member of the Iroquois County Board. A minimum of 3 members, or 50%, shall be representative of the 911 public safety agencies, including but not limited to police departments, fire departments, emergency medical service providers, and emergency services and disaster agencies, and appointed on the basis of their ability or experience. That's what Mr. McGinnis is recommending. I think it's something we can talk about this morning, and if we want to incorporate those things in the ordinance, we can let Mr. Devine know about it so that he can prepare it accordingly.
I guess I don't know why we want to limit it to 1 board member, because what if somebody like Marvin, who just got elected, if he was already appointed, then runs for the board, and we already have a board member on it, then who do you say no to?
Well, and that's the situation that we've had. Going back into November of 2014, there were actually 4 county board members that were serving on the ETSB board for a period of about 2 months. So there is some precedent and so forth. The most recent situation where Mr. Ault was put on the board, he was replacing Dan Raymond, who was already on the board. So there wasn't really any change in the makeup according to that situation.
And sometimes it just gets hard to get people for these boards.
Very much so. Do you have any thoughts, Russell?
Oh, as far as Chad's comments, I think regarding that the chairman should nominate for appointment to the county board, the change that he's looking for there, I think we already have in place because the chairman makes appointments, but the appointments are always approved by the county board.
Well, that's in the county code book for ETSB, it's not stated or presented that way. The chairman has the authority to appoint those people.
It should be consistent, I believe, across the board.
That's it. The chairman has the authority to appoint those people.
Right.
What's the same
In the case of Mr. Ault, I brought it forward asking the board to approve it, to be transparent and
Right.
so forth. I did that voluntarily,
Right.
but it's not required in the county code.
What's the state law say? Silent on that one?
I'd have to double check to be 100% sure. I thought of that last night and just didn't have time to run through it, but that would be one thing we ought to do.
And on a section, number 2 thing you mentioned, it was just wording in the contract or the agreement regarding the strike on a temporary basis. You know, if the state's attorney, it sounds like it's fine with me, but
I think everybody was in agreement that's something we should do.
yeah. As far as the 3rd section, well, gee, yeah, that's a tough call there.
Well, I can say this, and it doesn't necessarily, maybe shouldn't say it that way. I did have occasion back in January, I think it was, to have a discussion with the state's attorney about a number of things, and one of them came up with the makeup of the ETSB board, and he got out the state statute and read it over, and he said, the way I see this, you could have as many as 3 county board members on that board if you wanted to.
So it's in line with state statute.
So, I
But
mean,
the
that's,
clarification, he was reading the old law, just to let you know.
Oh,
And Kyle's answer is municipality. Back in '95, the county board chairman at that time decided to just have the county board chairman do it. There are different ways that it's done throughout the state of Illinois. I know one agency that actually has their fire association nominates one to the board, their police association nominates one to the board, their EMS nominates one to the board, and then the county board also nominates one. So they're done by their different entities within their county, so not one person has the sole control over who is on that board. They each appoint their own person to that board and whatever the makeup of the board is as far as the number of it.
well, that wouldn't be in accordance with the statute then, because the statute says the county board chairman appoints those people.
I don't think it says county board chairman, I'm looking at it right now, but I think it says municipality or county government agency. Our ordinance says that.
I guess the county chairman's the head of the county agency.
When they talk about that as corporate authorities, they're talking about
Yeah,
the county
corporate.
board.
Well, I guess if there's a question on which statute he was looking at, maybe that needs to be clarified before we do anything.
By the corporate authorities of the county or municipality.
Yep. Goes back with the chairman.
Right. And that's something that I think we ought to look at pretty seriously insofar as the fact that the current statute expires on June 30th and there'll be a new one before July 1.
And that will probably happen on a yearly basis.
Right.
Every year that will probably expire just because of legislation and the dollar amount. because the act sets the dollar amount.
Point being that if we do something now and the new statute comes out a little bit different, then we have to change it all over again. We might be better off just to wait until the new statute takes shape. And,
But you're going to run into the same thing next year.
well,
You could also put in there that whatever, that the Emergency Telephone System Act, I'm going to say Trump, because I don't know what the word says, the county ordinance, if something just changed in that. Example, $2, ours still says $2, it's 87 cents. So ours is wrong on the $2. You know, so if the 87 cents change that every year, you're going to change the ordinance. That's just an example.
I think every time the state statute changes, we have to conform to it. If that's it once a year, that's once a year.
If it is required.
If it's required to do
If
so.
required. I think that's very important. Otherwise, I don't necessarily want to do it the same way Chicago does it.
Let's not get into that. So I guess the question is, what do we want to do?
We're looking for an ordinance from the state's attorney, correct? Next step.
Yeah, I guess he's going to come up with an ordinance, we can't act until we have it.
Well, that's true. The only thing in regard to that, though, is that I think he's looking for input from us about what to put in there. I did have a meeting with him, and at that time we talked about changing the part about on a temporary basis. I don't think we've talked about necessarily changing anything else. I suggested that he, in the ordinance, that he repeat everything that's in the county code book right now with that change incorporated into it. So unless we tell him to do something different, that's what it'll come up with.
Do they have anything out there of what's proposed for the new ordinance?
I can check, I don't know if a lot of them have changed it, but I can check and find out what the new...
Anything can
You know, the
happen.
thing is like everybody appoints theirs different, so that's going to be different, each one of them. Our dollar amounts, obviously, are all the same now, before they were different. So I can check into that and maybe get there happens to be a generic copy of it.
Well, and if it's going to be a new ordinance or statute from the state, if there's any copy of what they're thinking about that, maybe give us some guidance.
Legislation hasn't got that far, but I mean, this is July 1st of 2016, changes in the emergency telephone system act right here. It's 40-some pages. 38 pages.
I would say that if we want to limit it to the second item that's in Mr. McGinnis is here about removing the temporary basis, we could make a motion to approve that today. Directing the state's attorney to make that change in the ordinance.
Well, with his approval of it, I would think so, since he's legal counsel on a legal document.
No, okay.
That's what present state statute does. They took the word temporary out.
Looking for that motion.
I think so. That way we can move forward, the ETSB board can move forward. Right now they're hamstrung and the county board is, and not knowing who has the responsibility for hiring and firing any of the staff in the ETSB area because of the word temporary.
Yes, I would move to remove that and word it however the state attorney determines it best. That good enough for a motion for you? or-
Well, it'd be better if it was maybe a little more specific.
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me, so.
Well, the idea was removing the word temporary, which in effect would give the E ETSB board that authority to hire and fire and so forth of
Yeah, I don't
staff
have
and
anything with that.
ETSB.
And that's what the state statute is, how the state statute is now.
Earn any staff necessary for the implementation and upgrade of the system. An upgrade is a word that means we're continuous upgrading as in going to next generation I-1. There's constantly changes.
Mhm.
And that's what number 5 in the state statute says.
So would you like it to be just that we adopt what the state statute requires? I guess I'm not sure how to word it.
Well, I guess I'm not exactly sure either. I think the idea was in the existing ordinance to remove the word temporary,
Okay.
which in effect gives the E ETSB board that authority to hire and fire their staff.
Which by state statute, that's what they,
Correct. So
That
that,
sounds like the language I think you wanted to use, wasn't it?
well, I thought, but maybe I didn't say it right.
I just bringing
Did
you
you
the
get all
copy
that?
of the statute.
Just to remove temporary from the current ordinance.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is take
Is
that
that
word right
okay,
there.
to remove temporary from the current
Right.
ordinance?
Good idea, right?
That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
So in number 5 of the code, strike on temporary basis.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Marvin seconds the motion. Is there any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Anderson?
Yes.
Barron?
Yeah.
Bills?
Yes.
Signat?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, the next one was any further discussion and action on a proposal to have county board members complete a questionnaire providing information on their strengths and weaknesses. This came up at the last board meeting. A copy of the questionnaire was placed on everybody's desk. I asked every county board member present to read that over and to get back to me with their comments and thoughts on it. So far, the response has been underwhelming. I've gotten back one comment from 19 people.
You know, it could be a good tool for a chairman, for the chairman of the board when he's trying to direct committee assignments and things like that. And there could be a lot more questions asked, you know, like, can you make change? And a few things like that. But at this point, that's information maybe the chairman can use. Would I make a requirement? No. Would I suggest it? Yeah. But that's strictly up to the chairman.
Also up to the board members, if they want to fill it out, apparently they don't.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't asking them to fill it out. I was asking for their thoughts and ideas. Well, this individual filled it out, but also has a few comments attached with it also. So, I presume you might have filled it out to give some idea what it might look like
You know,
filled out. But I can see that it can have some benefit. Again, you know, if people don't want to fill it out, I don't know if it'd be necessary to force them to or whatever, but
it's good to know that type of information.
absolutely.
Also, it's good to know if they can take a pledge to the flag in our country. There's a whole bunch of little things that, you know, it's good things to know that when somebody's walking in off the street, serving as a board member.
Right.
And so, where do you want to limit it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the question would be if this is something that we want to make a part of our everyday activity going forward, we can do so. We can offer it on, everybody. If you want to fill it out, great. If you don't do it. I guess the question would be, in that regard though, is the form itself, do we need to change the form? Do we want to take some things out, add some things in? there's a couple things in there that, I guess just to me anyway, seem kind of inconsequential, or even the answers are pretty simple, but, I don't know. That's kind of what I was looking for, was, because to me, some of the things that would be helpful to me, and I think this would be something that, in order to accomplish its purpose, would probably be similar to a resume kind of thing. I would like to know what a person's education is. I'd like to know what their work experience has been, as well as their interests and so forth. And if you're going to use this as a tool in making committee assignments and other assignments and so forth, I think that's information that would be very helpful, rather than trying to schedule a face-to-face interview with 19 other people. That takes a lot of time from everybody. So, but some of the things that are around this, I think, kind of fall in line with that, but there isn't anything in here about education. If I had a guy that was a rocket scientist and who needed rocket science in this county, that would be somebody we'd look to. I mean, it's that simple. So, but
Do they go by the Ten Commandments?
is this something that we want to do something with today? We want to think about it some more? What's your pleasure with that?
I think that's totally chairman discretion.
So you're suggesting I should revise the form and...
If you want to use it, if you want to use it.
Okay.
Maybe we should dig up the Times Republic questionnaire of the candidates when they were up for election. That has a lot of that in it.
Not everybody filled one of those out, did they?
Probably not.
And you beat yourself. Without help.
All right, I'll tell you what, I'll take a look at it myself, see if I want to make any, whatever changes I might want to make in it. We'll talk about it next month, and then see if we want to, it makes sense and so forth. But if anybody has any thoughts and ideas to further it, I mean, this is the time to make that information known. This is the time to let me know. Okay? Next item is discussion and action on a proposal to schedule county board meetings at times other than 9 a.m. on the second Tuesday of the month. This was brought up initially at the last board meeting by Vince Lemie and further brought up by Chad McGinnis. The email from Chad McGinnis also contains his thoughts on the matter. And again, I guess this is something that
Chad's email?
I got it. I'll read what McGinnis said so that everybody can have benefit of it if you didn't read it. Chad McGinnis says, night meeting. Obviously Vince wants every meeting at night and at 6:30. That's his input to me. My thoughts have always been, and I expressed the same at the Meet the Candidates Forum, that at a minimum, the yearly budget meeting should be held at night. Why? Because this has the greatest impact on the citizens, and we should make available at the most convenient time as possible for the residents. Quite possibly the Finance Committee meeting or meetings when this topic is being discussed for approval. I also believe one other meeting may be in the spring. Again, it's time to make ourselves available to an audience that can't make it in the morning. Then any key item that has obviously attracted attention, such as the public safety tax. My next sentence didn't print out very good, so. He goes on to say, I know this may inconvenience some department heads, but make it policy that they can leave early the following Friday the amount of time spent in the meeting. That's what Mr. McGinnis has to say. What does the committee have to say?
Well, it looks like Chad's most concerned about the finance issues. which is usually in finance committee, which right now, I guess, we, finance committee get together, face-to-face kind of negotiate where we're at, because we got so much money to spend, and we got so much money to come in, and we got to find a happy medium to get and that's really need to be done face-to-face between committee members to get it done. Then we put it on file for 30 days after it's done. I suppose sometime during the 30 days, if we want to have another meeting and for a public thing, yeah, we could do it at the old courthouse, in fact. But that's everybody. Yeah.
You're
Well, there-
suggesting a public meeting where
If
the
it's
entirely
necessary,
public,
I-
where everybody could get up and say their piece?
There's so much to the budget issues, and actually, when you look at all the different line items in all the different areas, the average layman on the street we could spend so much in education time with them. If they really want to learn it, they need to call in and got to be with it almost all the time.
The one statement was the budget is the one that impacted the taxpayers the most. How is it worded?
Impact. Yeah, because it's the greatest impact on the citizens. And we should make available
I
at
may
our
argue that
convenient
the
time.
tax levy may be the biggest
Right.
thing that affects the citizens.
And the levy gets no attention at all, that part.
And that's where I had two people in the last week come to me about they build houses if the real estate taxes weren't so high in the county. Now, they're not going to come to a meeting and say that. They've told me, now it's my job to see if there's anything can be done with it and go from there. I think it's great if people want to come to the meeting, but it's our job to take the people's responses and do something with it. And if they just want to bypass that step and have people come here, then I guess maybe they don't want to spend the time to do the job that they were elected to do.
Yeah, and I think the first thing when you talk about property taxes in general, which is, what is it, 25%, 20% of our budget, of our total budget of county general, again. People realize when they get a property tax bill, what you're looking at on county portions, usually in most cases 10, 12% of their tax bill. They don't realize that over 50% or close to 50% is their local education in their own backyard. But you can't even get that part to the average person that complains about property tax on their house, or I'll build a big house but I can't afford the tax, They need to understand how the property tax system works to start with. And when we're dealing with such a small percentage of it, I don't think they understand that we can change it because the state puts the guidelines down on how the property tax system works. And unfortunately, that comes out of the city of Chicago again.
And that's going to be something hard to explain to people in a meeting, where that should be done one-on-one, where you're representing them, you find it out, you go back and you talk to them, and you say, this is it.
I think not only that, but I agree with you that one-on-one is a much more effective way of handling that type of situation. But I think, in addition to what Russell said, people need to try and understand that they need to look at their total taxes, which includes not only property tax, but sales taxes and so forth. If you said that just hypothetically said that your property taxes in this county were the same as they are, let's say, in Champaign County, but Champaign County has a sales tax that's way up here. Your total tax bill is so much more there. Why wouldn't you want to come here? Another thing that impacts property taxes in this county is the fact, and it's a huge problem, and Ken knows how adamant I am on this point. If we can't get people to shop in this county, their property taxes and every other tax is going to keep going up through the roof. If they're going to go shop in Kankakee, Champaign, or Lafayette, they're robbing this county. They're robbing this county, and we need to get people to shop here. That's the way to lower taxes. Why pay your tax money to another county? That doesn't make any sense at all. So I think, again, one-on-one with people can be very effective in trying to get them to understand what the truth of the matter is. But I think we need to do everything we can to encourage people to want to build homes in this county. We want people to move to this county, and the county to prosper.
You know, that was just an example. I mean, it could be
No.
something with their dog.
Right.
You know,
But I mean, it's something that a lot of people don't have a complete understanding of the situation.
That's why, you know, I come to a meeting and the meeting's over in a half hour, and I'm here for another 2 hours doing stuff a lot of times. Just because that's the job.
So if you were here at night meetings, you'd be here till midnight.
No, I wouldn't, because the people wouldn't be here for me to go to talk to and get stuff done.
Wait,
Well,
that's two per diems if we're...
night meetings is what we're talking about, and I guess I have some thoughts too about it. We have about 30 seats here that people can sit in. So if we have, no matter what the purpose of the meeting is for the public, if we inconvenience, there's more than 12 officials that come to these board meetings, besides the county board. You can count them up. We inconvenience all those people to accommodate 30 people from the public. Is that really what we want to do? Also, you have to take into account the fact that if, I'll use Lisa Fancher as an example if I may. Her workday is over at 4:30. She lives in Gilman. If there's a county board meeting that starts here at 7, you expect her to stay here for 2.5 hours? Who's going to buy her dinner?
Yeah, who?
And she's not the only one. Anita lives in Clifton. Lindy lives in Sheldon. Bob lives in Crescent City. I mean, not everybody lives in Watseka. Some do, that's true, and that's fine. It's maybe not as much of an inconvenience for them, but they all have other things that they want to rather do in the evening. That's their personal time. So I think these kinds of things need to be factored into the situation also when we're looking at what time we're going to hold our meetings. And I know there's some counties that have their board meetings at night. Must be that's something that works well for them. But our system in Iroquois County has worked well for many years. I don't think it's broke. I don't understand why we need to try and fix it.
Well, and even when Vince had a meeting to see what kind of public support there was for a night meeting, he only got a handful of people.
Right. We tried this experiment before,
Many times, actually.
at least once, and it didn't change things significantly at all. Plus, we got an Attorney General's opinion about day meetings versus night meetings, and the Attorney General's opinion was that day meetings are reasonable for public participation.
Many
considered
counties
reasonable.
hold their board meetings and committee meetings in the day.
I feel like this is more about convenience for one or two people that are working day shifts that are on the board.
And, you know, everybody here has a job, and we're here. You know, if you're going to be on the board, you expect to sacrifice something. If you can't sacrifice at this time, then maybe it's not time for you to be on the board. Maybe you need to wait for a different time in your career or life to do it then.
I've been saying, and you're probably tired of hearing it, but I'm on the health board, and I'm on the 911 or ETSB board. They're night meetings, and no one comes. No one. The last ETSB, there were some county board members there, but if people want night meetings, come to some of them. Show us maybe you're interested.
The public's not complaining about.
I think that's only half the problem. The other half of the problem is only people that are working can't run for the board. Otherwise, there would be a lot of people that would run for the board.
If
They would be available to run for the board. There's the other half of the problem.
I would not have run for the board and then can't come on the board and expected the board to change their meeting time for me.
That ain't what I said.
I don't care what you said, but that's what I
don't care
said.
if you said either. What it is, people
I hope you
run
don't-
for the-
I hope you don't get violent with
People
me.
run for the board.
That's enough. We're not gonna get into this now.
Well, and that comes back to what I said, you know, we all work, and we sacrifice to come here. And, you know, it'd be nice if everybody could come when they wanted to come, but at some point it's going to inconvenience somebody else. So,
Okay, let me just run around the room here. Nita, do you have any thoughts about the matter?
Not officially, no. I work for the county board, so whatever is required for me to support the county board, that's what I'm going to do. The one comment I will make about Chad's suggestion about making it a policy that department heads can leave early, that would be a huge problem, because what you're doing then is telling us that we are hourly employees and not salaried employees. We are salaried employees, which means we are paid for the work that we do, not the hours that we work. If you start defining, even if it's something that to be positive, like you can leave early on Fridays following a county board meeting, you have just defined me as an hourly employee, and I'm going to charge you. You will be liable for overtime hours for me. That is not something this county board wants.
We don't want to go there. It's a human
Do not go
resource
there.
issue.
Do not go there. That's a human resources issue that you should not do.
And
But you
public
would
is the
also,
same way as private there.
right, right. You have to make sure that you understand the status of our employment agreement.
Okay, Mindy, do you have any thoughts?
I will be here whenever the meetings are. However, if it is in the evening, I also have a teenage daughter who is in sports and activities, and I'm going to be at her activities.
Nida?
I'm here most of the time at night anyway anymore, so it doesn't make a difference to me. Nights or days makes no difference.
Okay. Bob?
Speaking as a person who's served on many different boards over the years, there's some were met at night. To me, the issues that the public are interested in, it doesn't matter when the meeting's scheduled, they'll show up. Your attendance is driven by what's on the agenda. If it's something the public is really interested in, they'll show up whether you meet at 6 in the morning or at midnight. And they'll express their concerns and their interest, support, or against issues at that time. The other, Larry's point that when other people run, if it was night meetings, maybe not. But in fact, on the other boards I've served on, and obviously, it's hard to get people to run for any board, no matter what time of the day they serve on. So that's the difference. But if you're asking attendance from the public, to me, it's agenda-driven, and what's on that agenda. You'll get people at meetings, whether they're during the day or at night. I don't really care one way or the other personally. I mean, I've been to a lot of night meetings over the years. Zoning Board of Appeals the other night, it's part of my job. I'll be there for that, no matter what. So, but your attendance from the public, to me, is issue-driven. And if you have an issue that people want to discuss or say their opinion, they'll show up, no matter when you're scheduled.
How many people from the public attended the zoning board of appeals meeting the other night?
You. and Wendy.
Dee?
The public health department, Board of Health does have night meetings and has a specific concept, one time. I agree with everything Mr. Yearwood said. I also concur with the other department heads. But my main concern with my evening hours is the same as Mindy. I have a teenage daughter. I will be at her. She is my priority. My job is important to me. When I accepted this position, I knew that there would be Board of Health meetings. For example, the Board of Health meeting next Wednesday night happens to fall on the same night my mother would love for me to go to another daughter banquet at her church. I will be at the Board of Health meeting. I knew when I took that job done. That's what was expected. But to add a
whole bunch of more a night meetings, I don't think is, I don't think it's considerate of the department head. And as the public were out complaining, if the public were massively calling us, demanding this, that I have not heard one person from the public complain about it. The only complaints I've had have been in the meeting. So not one person from the public has ever said to me that they wish that we had.
Okay. Ken, do you have any thoughts?
Not much, maybe a couple. I agree with Bob. I used to serve on the regional planning commission, and we always had names. And the only people that ever came from the public were someone that had something on the agenda. There were never any spectators, per se. I go to quite a few, probably not as many as some would like, but quite a few village boards and city council meetings. There's usually nobody that comes to those meetings unless they have a particular issue. I mean, it might be water draining on their property or something. They aren't applying for a zoning change or something, but they have a personal vested interest, so they come to the meeting. And then maybe one more thing, you were giving an example of 30 people sitting in here. You're inconveniencing a dozen or more officials to accommodate those 30 people. I bet you if there was 30 people in here, at least half of them would come regardless of what time it is. So now we're inconveniencing a dozen or more officials for half of the crowd. They'll come. If there's something that they're really interested in, they'll try to get there, or they'll discuss it with somebody else, and they'll come. It's, I wouldn't, if I was able to vote for it, I'd vote for Keith for it.
Okay, I wanted to give everybody a chance to have their say-so. What's the pleasure of the committee?
No action.
You don't want to have any more meetings?
Don't want to have any more discussion on the change in the meeting.
I move that we leave the meeting schedule as is.
Is there a second?
Second.
Russell, is there any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Anderson?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Signat?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Next item is discussion and action on a new IMRF resolution. Anita, would you explain that to the board, please? Or the committee member, excuse me.
You have copies. There was a letter from IMRF. They are changing, they're now requiring a recertification of IMRF eligibility every 2 years for all elected officials. And so what they were finding was, the IMRF requirement for participation is working for Tier 1, which is before 2001, I think, or 2011 or 2012. The requirement was if you work 600 hours in a year, you participate in IMRF. It's effective that date. I think it was January 2011, 2011. After that date, you're Tier 2, and that amount goes to 1,000 hours. So, like for me, I have to work 1,000 hours in a year to participate. For somebody who's part-time, that's 19 and a quarter hours a week. We have a housekeeper who's employed 19 and a quarter hours a week. Because over that, not because over that, but if she worked more than that, she would be required to be an IMRF. So what IMRF found out when they were auditing, they audit all sorts of different entities. Your number is going to come up at some point, and they're going to come in and look at who's working what hours, all the requirements, all your payroll, make sure it's being reported right. What they found was there was no documentation for elected officials and how many hours they worked or were required to be there, and there's no documentation certifying that they're eligible to be an IMRF. So they're now requiring this resolution that the county board is certifying that these elected officials, if they were started their terms before January of 2011, it's 600 hours. If it's after that, it's 1,000 hours. Certifying
that the elected officials are working the required number of hours. The key thing is, if they do not get this resolution by September 1st, they are kicking the elected officials out of IMRF. So it needs to be addressed, and we need to have this resolution. How you're now going to document that is, I think, up to the board. But you do have to, once you pass this resolution, fill it out, have Jim fill it out. I've asked Jim, I think I copied him on my email. Then I have to send it and make sure it gets to IMRF, and they will put it on file for us, and we'll be okay.
So doesn't that, so if we have them clocking in and out, doesn't that then kind of put them in the category of an hourly employee?
Well, we don't, when I talk about salaried employees, that's what I mean by we. I don't clock in and out. I don't, I either work the, what I do is I submit a timesheet that says I worked this last pay period, 4 work days, 6 vacation days. Or I worked, this many days.
So something like that would work?
Sure.
Or is there something other than that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, and I can follow up with IMRF. That's a separate issue than the resolution. That's validating that it meets the requirements of the resolution. That's a separate issue. The resolution comes first. I can talk to IMRF. Right now, we just pay them their annual salary divided by 26. Period. Did IMRF provide a sample resolution?
Mm-hmm.
And Jim has that? Yes. Yeah.
Right now, there are some elected officials that there is no requirement on how many hours they work.
By state law.
Right.
Yeah. So
I
it
don't
really
know
kind
that.
of,
Who's that?
Hmm?
Who's that?
There are requirement for how many hours you work, Mindy?
I don't know.
I don't think there is. Or the sheriff, or a lot of it.
Right. That's
You
my
have to
understanding.
Well-
do a job.
But what IMRF is saying is that, that's okay if you work less than 600, but if you work less than 600, you cannot be an IMRF. That's the IMRF state law.
So what
12,000.
Lyle is saying is, how do we document how many hours they're working?
Do we consider any day that they come in an 8-hour day?
Well, it depends, 7 or 8. Some
Depends
are-
on the person. Just-
Depends on the person. But a salaried employee either works the day or doesn't work the day, period. That's the way labor law works. You either get, if you're a salaried employee and you're paid for the job that you do, not the hours that you work, you come in for the day or you don't.
It's about like a workman's comp insurance company, Look, we get canceled every guy that can. If the independent company doesn't have really nothing to do with the state of Illinois, other than they take care of most of the retirement in the state of Illinois. It's like Prudential or somebody like that. I think this is something definitely we need to look at. Let's put it back for 1 month, table it for a month, and get some other eyes looking at it, because a lot of times I don't like to see knee-jerk reaction with the insurance companies. We got burnt before.
Please don't put it off too long, you're talking about...
Yeah, we got something highlighted, we want to highlight that we must have to have this to them by September 1st.
Right.
Of this year.
1 month isn't gonna
Yeah.
hurt us, I think. And I might be mistaken on this also. This is something I'm sure the state's attorney can help us out with, but even though some elected officials may not be required to put in a certain amount of time by state law, there may be the opportunity for the county to have that in their ordinance that they will work a certain number of hours, and that might take to a question that's come up here.
Yeah, you think that would just been for the ECHO people? I don't think we got any of those left, do we?
There's still some alive, but there's none working currently.
None
yeah.
working, yeah, okay.
I mean, nobody's accusing anybody of not putting in that many
Right.
hours. It's a question of what
Right.
we're certifying is being done, and is there a requirement to do it? Or if someone comes along in a few years down the road and says, well, I'm now the so-and-so, and I'll come whenever I feel like it. I've heard stories, there's been a few people in this county that may have done something like that in years past. I wasn't here, so I can't verify that, but wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure there's been other areas in this country where people have done that kind of thing.
And for the folks in the room, you know, why I suggest putting back 30 days is that I was sitting here when that RMF ECHO program got shoved through, and yeah, it wasn't only days later, if you can count, you figure out, ooh, there's numbers all wrong on this presentation.
There's no cost to this, though, right?
No, yeah, they're just, just like a workman's comp or anything else, I want to certify the time. And it looks like something all we need to do is just have an elected official on an annual basis at least, sign a piece of paper saying, yes, I work so many hours per week, and blah, 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 or per month, or whatever. And they hand it in to somebody else, or our local agent, and they say, yes, these people did that, and they sign it, and then they're done.
So basically sign a sheet like we sign every month for certifying.
Just documentation that they said this, and that they did.
You already sign a sheet every 2 weeks. Payroll. Well, is that good
Well-
enough to qualify, or?
No, the elected officials, they don't put in the days like we all do. It's just at the top. It just pays them. They just get paid.
Everybody in agreement, we'll table this till next month and see if we can get some further information. Okay. Let's move on to the,
Do you want me to do anything further on it?
if you want to talk to the state's attorney about it, that's fine.
Well, I've already tried twice, and I haven't got a response.
I have a
Maybe-
copy of DeKalb
maybe
County
you
that
could-
passed it in April too. I can give Anita a copy of that.
Who did?
DeKalb County already passed it,
Okay.
On what day?
April 19th.
Did they have any questions like we do?
There's a paragraph in there that they talk about that they don't have any authority to on the this paragraph here.
You want me to read it? Whereas the DeKalb County Board notes that while IMRF has mandated that they stipulate which elected officials of DeKalb County government qualify for eligibility for the IMRF pension program, the county board, with caution to the Board of Trustees of IMRF, notes that the county board and its administrative staff have no authority or responsibility to monitor or enforce what hours an elected office holder actually works, as case law within the state of Illinois has made clear that elected office holders have independent authority and independent responsibility for the operation of the office to which they were elected by the voters of DeKalb County. Good?
Makes a lot of sense.
Can you make us a copy of that?
Sure.
Does
Okay.
that satisfy IMRF?
Yeah.
They kind of slapped them in the face.
Yeah, I guess. We see it today, it's announced as March 3.
Okay, let's move on to the update on the Illinois Bicentennial Initiatives. Is there anything to report on that, Russell?
I haven't heard nothing.
Yeah, IMRF attorneys have
I
approved.
haven't had a bite.
At what point in time should we be following up on that?
Well, it was emailed on 4/5 at 5:55 p.m.
When you sent in their
Yeah. And I think I left a copy with Have not heard a word back, so if you have not heard a word, yeah. And so the whole thing might be, because, the terms that they used in the original thing of crowd fund donations to make this happen. Now, crowd fund, best I can tell, is a new piece of language, and the only time I've seen it being used is in internet fundraising events for good causes. And so, again, it's a fishing trip, as far as I'm concerned. We'll see if there's anything out there biting.
Well, I think the point that you made at the last meeting about the history of Iroquois County insofar as the Element State's development and progress is very important, and I think it's something we definitely should.
If they want to do something, we want to be part of it.
Okay. Next is an update on the arbitrator ruling on the telecommuter contract. Anita, can you give that to us?
I talked to Dave Hibbon last Friday, and the briefs were sent to the arbitrator on May 3rd, which would say 60 days is going to be, I guess, or March 3rd, so that'd be like May 2nd. But he said we should not anticipate that we will definitely have it by May 2nd. It could, sometimes it lags over. It depends on the arbitrator and how much he has on his plate. So theoretically, it could come within a few days, but it might be longer.
Okay, very good. Appointments, we have 3 people to appoint to the Board of Review next month. I'm still looking for somebody for the 377 board. I have one person that contacted me yesterday that I haven't had an opportunity yet to follow through on, but that's kind of basically where we're at, still trying to get somebody for the 377 board. And we have a vacancy on the ETSB board that I'm working on also. So, next would be correspondence. Looks like you've got a bunch of stuff there. UCCI stuff. Golf outing. There you go.
About twice that one too.
Me too.
University of Illinois Extension Board.
Risk management.
About why they didn't work.
I
Seminars.
don't hesitate to open this one up.
How much postage do they spend?
Yeah, we've done that before. Okay. This is the salary survey from the ECCI for 2017. If there's any reason to look at it right at this point.
No, I think it's something that,
We've done it before.
yeah, well, yeah, we need to keep the information available.
Yep. Okay. That's it as far as correspondence goes.
Good
Claims.
file cabinet.
No thanks.
We have